Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to week 19 of the Cooldown Catch-Up, a weekly catch-up of what went down 2 weeks ago in training. I'll apologize and address the elephant in the room, but for the first time in 18 weeks, I did not get my video out last week. I've had a lot going on, and filming and editing this kind of fell to the bottom of the priority list. For this week's intro, I wanted to give a brief lowdown on the use of heart-based training, as well as the use of heart rate monitors. I feel like this is a relevant topic, at least for me right now, because in the past week of training, I did have a couple of runs where I really couldn't get my heart rate under control. As a quick disclaimer, I am not a doctor.
No.
And everything I state is based on my own research that I've done on this topic. Heart rate training and monitoring while running is a great way to optimize your training, as well as give you a metric to look at and give you real-time response of how your body is reacting to that training. It can also be a really good indicator of overtraining. Most watches have a built-in wrist heart rate monitor, which is a great way to guide you, although these can be quite inaccurate. I personally would recommend investing in a decent chest monitor that you wear around your chest that can give you a little bit more of an accurate reading, but still not perfect. The first thing we need to figure out is your own personal heart rate zones, and that can be calculated by your max heart rate, which, as it sounds, is the maximum amount of beats per minute your heart can do under maximum stress. This varies between individuals, and it can be influenced by many factors, including your fitness level as well as your age. There are a few ways we can figure this out, and the easiest is by a simple equation, and that's 220 minus your age. While this is a good way to get a rough idea of what your max heart rate might be, it's not extremely accurate. So for example, going off of this equation, 220 minus my current age of 26, 33, would give me a max heart rate of 187. And I can speak from experience, I have definitely seen my max heart rate get higher than this during high intensity workouts. The second method is to get a laboratory test, but who has money for that? Although it probably is a lot more and extremely accurate. The third and best option for most of us is to do a personal field test. While I'm not going to go into a specific workout, the premise is to get a good warm-up and then perform a very structured exercise at your maximum effort. There are plenty of online resources where you can find different types of max heart rate field tests that you can perform yourself. And maybe at some point I will do an intro or another short video on me going out and retesting my max heart rate doing one of these type of field tests. Now, having this metric, you're able to find your 5 heart rate zones. Zone 1 is 50 to 60% of your max heart rate, and this can be characterized as a very easy effort. Zone 2 is 60 to 70%, and this will feel like a very comfortable and maintainable pace. Zone 3 would be 70 to 80% of your max heart rate, and this would be a pretty moderate effort. Zone 4 would be 80 to 90% of your max heart rate, and this would feel like a very hard effort. And finally, Zone 5 is 90 to 100% of your max heart rate, and this would feel like an all-out, heart-busting effort. Heart rate-based training can help prevent you from overdoing it on your easy run and reduces the chances of overtraining, which can help you recover more quickly. A majority of your training should be done in Zone 1 and Zone 2, and Zone 3 and Zone 4 should be reserved for more specific workouts such as intervals and tempo runs. It's also important to remember that your heart rate can be affected by a lot of different factors, such things as heat and humidity, elevation, stress, dehydration, lack of sleep, and many others. So this is something to take into consideration when it seems like your heart rate might be getting higher. Are you dehydrated? Is it a little bit hotter out? Or are you doing a lot of elevation gain? While I'm not going to go into the specific implementation of heart rate based training, it is an awesome way that personalizes your workouts to make sure that you're pushing hard enough to get gains, but not over pushing it that risks injury and overtraining. After your workouts, you can dive into the data, look at your average heart rate, your time spent in each zone, and your heart rate variability. This information helps you adjust your training plan and make sure that you're always progressing. I'm a data diva, so I absolutely love jumping in and looking at the different statistics of different workouts. I wear my chest heart rate monitor on most of my runs, but I always have my watch, which also has the wrist heart rate monitor, and I am constantly monitoring it during my runs. I also monitor my heart rate after my runs and throughout the day, just to see where I'm sitting relative to my normal heart rate. As I mentioned, this is all kind of relevant to me, as this past week I did deal with a lot of elevated heart rates on some runs and days after, but we'll get more to that during the catch-up. I'm curious to hear from you. During your training, running or otherwise, do you pay attention to your heart rate data, or are you more of the rate of perceived exertion type? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, to lower all of your heart rates and stop beating all of this enthralling heart rate information, let's get to it. The cooldown catch-up starts right now. Monday, I started my week off with a rest day. Tuesday, I had 4 miles with a hill workout planned. I started my workout with a warm-up of jogging uphill 1 mile and then turning around and trying to hammer it downhill to try to help condition the quads for some hard downhill efforts. I then proceeded with my workout, which was a 10 by 1 minute hard uphill, 130 down recovery. The workout totaled 4.41 miles with 1,122 feet of gain. Out here on Wednesday at Apex Trail with my buddy Alex and Adam. Nice morning run. A little chilly to start, but ended up being perfect temperature. So we're just doing the standard loop this morning, but feeling good. Lungs are going and the heart's going. With the warmer weather starting here in Colorado, these early morning runs are definitely the way to go. I am not a huge fan of running in the heat, although it is something I probably should get better at. This nice morning run totaled 5.39 miles and 1,175 feet of gain. Thursday, I had 12 miles on the docket, and it really ended up being just not my day. I'm at Elk Meadow Park in Evergreen, and so I'm just running this loop around the meadow and then heading up Bergen Peak, which is behind me, and then coming back. So should be about 12 miles, 2,500 feet of gain. But yeah, out just trying to see how the body's feeling with another semi-long run. Well, not feeling the best today. Just tired. Can't really get my heart rate down again, so I don't know. I had some drinks last night, beers, and didn't sleep well, but yeah, kind of a crummy run. I'm not even 6 miles in, so hopefully this comes around. You know, running, it's all about riding those waves. A good wave will come. No matter how much I slow down to hike or sit down to try to lower my heart rate, I just could not get it under control. And as soon as I would start jogging again, it would spike right back up into the mid to high 170s. Top of Bergen Peak, 9,708 feet. So just about 6.66 miles up here, a little over 2,000 feet. But yeah, rough day. Gosh, just couldn't get my heart rate down on any of the running. That was uphill. Even the hiking was taking it out of me. So man, hopefully it's just a bad day. Just kind of didn't really have any breakfast this morning, didn't really approach it super seriously. And I think I probably just should have. Still easing back in, you know, with longer runs after the 100. So maybe I think it took it for granted a little bit. But head down to the car, so I'll get about 12 miles, which is what I was looking for. You know, 2,500 feet, something like that. But hopefully the next run a little bit better. It's a big one that I've got planned this week. So hopefully I feel better for that one, because pushing through that many miles that I've got to do, not feeling great, that won't be fun. So, but it's all deposits in the bank, right? You know, enjoy being out here. I even had a hard time getting my heart rate down out of the 160s while running downhill. I even spiked my heart rate up to 194 at one point, and I felt it. Being so focused on my heart rate, I was really discouraged on how this run was going, and thoughts started entering my mind. Was I overtraining? Was I jumping back into this too quickly? Or was this just a bad day, and were some of those other factors playing a role? I was having a really difficult time catching a full breath afterwards, and my heart rate was still hovering in the 120 to 130s while doing nothing later that day. This is why I wanted to bring up the use of heart rate monitors while running in the intro. I know what my body functions like, and I know what certain efforts should feel like. And when the heart rate data didn't correlate with those efforts, it started to be very concerning. This run totaled 11.7 miles with 2,205 feet of gain. The following day, Friday, I had planned to run, but when I woke up, I could tell that my heart rate was higher than normal, so I decided to take a rest day and take it easy. And I did notice throughout the day that my heart rate was hovering a lot higher than normal. Saturday, Renee and I went out for what was supposed to be a 10-mile run. We kept the pace very easy, but I still felt like my heart rate was getting a little bit elevated on the climbs. I do think part of it is it usually takes me a mile or two to get into the flow and get that heart rate level at what I'm used to it being. So I kind of took this with a grain of salt. We are down in Summit County, outside of Frisco, doing a little loop, but as you can see, we got a little high, tucked in the trees, and a bunch of snow. So pace is slowing, but we're still going. 10 miles on the docket today. So just kind of dealing with what the trails throw at us. We ended up trotting through miles of deep post-holing snow, water, mud, and downed trees, which made the first half of the run pretty slow. So I couldn't really gauge how the heart rate and breathing was doing. I'm over it. I'm fucking over it. Just walking through mud. I just want dry trails. Renee is thinking it's funny because I'm just bitching the whole time, but I'm over it. I'm over it. It's a beautiful day out, but I'm over the wet. Well, this run has become more like an obstacle course, a little Tough Mudder. We've had snow and mud and puddles and an entire tree fall area. We had to go up and over and under trees. So now we're just kind of having fun with it because it is like an obstacle course. We ended up calling multiple audibles that day. Originally, we were supposed to do a loop, but we got turned around by a bunch of snow. So then we decided to do an out and back 5 miles one way and 5 miles back. But once we got to the turnaround point, I really didn't want to go back through that obstacle course. So we decided to keep running all the way to Breckenridge, and we were going to take the free bus back to Frisco. Okay, so today is a day of audibles. We were going to do one loop, too much snow. We were going to go out and back, decided to keep going to Breck and then take the bus back. And now we're just going to run as far as we want or feel like back towards Frisco. If we do the whole thing, it'd be about 20-ish miles total. But there is a free bus system that we can pick up pretty much whenever. But we're running through basically the Breckenridge Village right now. So here we are, Renee's hiding. 17 miles in, Renee thought, hey, let's run all the way back to Frisco. It'll be fine. So we are on the Summit County Trail back from Breckenridge to Frisco. Only got about 3 miles left, but we'll end with about 20 miles. We're both kind of tired, feeling it. How about you? Well, we've came full circle on the run. Now it's windy and raining. Both of us are over it. It's kind of snowing, raining, cold. Renee's not having fun anymore. So I'm trying to run ahead to get the car nice and warm for her. But she's struggling. Longest run she's done in a while, which is super impressive, especially with having to deal with all the crap, all the snow. And then honestly, we only brought enough nutrition for 10 miles. So probably a little bit my problem or my fault. I should have said we shouldn't keep going, but I did give the option to stop and get some stuff at the grocery store. So we made our bed, gotta sleep in it. We both managed to fight our way all the way back to Frisco after 20.22 miles and 1,670 feet of gain. The entire run back on the bike path is pretty flat and even trends a little bit downhill, and my heart rate ended up being in zone 2 for the entire way back. So that was a little bit more encouraging that the run a couple days earlier might have just been a bad run, that I overdid it. However, I never really had the opportunity to push it hard on any up hills, which was what was causing and triggering it the 2 runs before. So I still wasn't sure where I was sitting at. Sunday was my real test day to see how my recovery was. I had 10 miles planned, but I was going to be very strict on pulling the plug if it seemed like my heart rate was getting abnormally elevated or I couldn't keep my breathing under control. Out at Alderfer Three Sisters Park area in Evergreen. on top of Evergreen Mountain right now. Just came out, got to do 10 miles today. Kind of changed up the plan this week just because of how I was feeling and stuff, but 10 miles a day. Renee and some of her friends, Jess, Jenna, and Rebecca are out here too, so I walked a little bit of the uphill with them and then kind of ran to the top. But yeah, I still got about 7 miles left on the day, but beautiful day, feeling a lot better I have all week. A little concerned with overtraining, couldn't get my heart rate or breathing under control the last few runs, but I feel pretty good today actually. I felt like I charged that hill. I felt extremely strong on the uphills in all of the running portions, and the heart rate never gave me an issue. After running up to and around Evergreen Mountain, I decided to go all the way back down to basically the trailhead, turn around, and go all the way back up and finish my loop in the opposite direction I had started it in. Back up, baby. The run ended up being 10 miles with 1,716 feet of gain, and that was my week, totaling in at 51.66 miles, 9 hours and 55 minutes, and 7,887 feet of gain. I'll be honest, after my run at Elk Meadow in Evergreen, I was very concerned about my elevated heart rate that was continuing into the next day as well as the run on Saturday. That's why I really think it's important to utilize heart rate monitors during and after your training. Not only can you base your effort during training, but you can also monitor your trends while recovering. Since this video is way late, I can say that the following week of training, the elevated heart rate was not an issue. And I'm chalking it up to just a bad run that I probably overdid in the heat. And those results lingered around for a few days, and I just needed to rest. Anyways, sorry for the late post, and I will be trying to get this week's video out in the next couple days as well. So you're gonna get a little double dose of the cool down catch up this week. You're welcome. Thank you for tuning in, and if you don't mind, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, remember, adventure awaits.